that's really disrupted. And oftentimes, if somebody goes out and their goal is to get a sloth and show it to the public, obviously that moss and algae does not look the best in pictures, so what they'll do is actually dunk them in a bucket of cleaner and scrub off all of that moss and algae. And that's really detrimental to the sloth's health because they rely on that not only for camouflage, but that's the food source of the moths. And sloths in the wild could not live without the moths, and the moths without the sloths. So it's a really intricate and well-designed system that has to stay very complex and just right for them to be able to make it.
How long do they live?
In the wild, we think about 25 years. There's not been able for a scientist that has been able to track one single sloth from birth until natural decease, but we expect it to be about 20 to 25 years. In captivity, the oldest sloth that we know of was actually named Jan. He lived in a zoo in Germany and just passed away this last August, and he was 54 when he passed.
Wow.
So given the right nutrients and everything taken care of just right, they can live to be for a good age.
She's very hungry.
Yeah. So she's tolerating it right now, but she doesn't really like any part of her underbelly to be touched, even including her chin. She's eating right now, so she's a little bit distracted, but if she weren't to be eating, she wouldn't really like it too much. She's been that way since we first got her. Even when she was just a little baby, she was really quick to show us, don't touch me there, don't touch me here, don't touch me there. And, you know, she was our first baby sloth, so we just went completely hands-off in those areas. Do it.
Was she really the first baby sloth here?
Yeah, so we had Flash. We had Flash already, and he was like 4, 5 years old at the time. But he was already 3 when we got him. And so she was our first baby, and we wanted to make sure that we were doing everything right with her. So when we went hands-off in those areas, she kind of figured out pretty quickly that she could just tell people where she doesn't want to be touched. We would have to abide by that. And so that's what we do.
She has 2 stuffed animals of sloths.
Oh, yeah?
And she
They just
sleeps
think
with
they're
one of them.
precious.
Mm-hmm.
You are. That one must have been a harder one.
Yeah. It was a little bit thicker. Sometimes she struggles with the bigger pieces.
You all have a baby sloth now.
We have an 8-month-old baby sloth, yeah. But we don't breed them here, we get them from a facility that has them bred. And it's basically the #1 supplier for all of the zoos and organizations like that in the US. He started out, he is a doctor of veterinary medicine, and he started out his breeding program with actually injured sloth from the rainforest that could not be returned back to the rainforest. So he was working with an organization down in Costa Rica or Guatemala, somewhere they're native to, with trying to rehabilitate injured sloths that had been holding onto a telephone pole and reached and grabbed another line and then been electrocuted. And the ones that could not be rehabilitated would go into his breeding program. So that's what started it all. But then since then, it's been generations upon generations upon generations that these guys have been bred here in captivity. And so it essentially have no idea what to do if they're, to be returned back to the rainforest. So I always tell people these guys are further removed from the rainforest than we are from the pilgrims first coming over. So obviously we're still people, just like they're still sloths. This is generations upon generations upon generations, and we do things completely different now. So.
She's like, hey,
We're slacking, buddy.
you got one purpose over there.
You can see those claws, how with her right hand that's resting on your shoulder right now, it's completely closed down. And so for her to hang onto a branch, to hold onto a branch like that, she's expending no energy to do so. If you were to think about for us trying to do that, if I'm holding onto a branch, I'm using muscles and tendons and ligaments energy to do that. It's difficult for me. But for her, clamp down is actually the relaxed state. So she's not using any muscles or energy or anything. The muscles and tendons that are in their arms are so tight that snap down like that's just natural. But for them to actually have to let go or reach, like how she's trying to reach for you to give her some more food, that's what takes energy and muscles to be able to do that, and that's pretty difficult. So if a sloth is not actively eating or sleeping, they're just kind of hanging there not doing anything. They're just hanging in the same spot, which is why the scientists used to think that they slept for like upwards to 20 hours a day, if not more. But after doing a little bit closer research, realized that it's actually closer to like 15 or 16 hours a day, which is still a lot of sleep, but not quite as much as they originally had thought, just because they realized that the times they thought they were sleeping, they were just hanging there not doing anything with their eyes open.
So it looks like, I mean, these almost look like leather.
Mhm. Yeah, and they do feel like that too. She doesn't really like for us to touch them
Yeah.
on our own. Sometimes she grabs us and you can feel it. But yes, they do. They're pretty soft.
Look who came out of his pouch.
Oh, wow.
It's lunchtime, baby.
Just like, hey, here's
Just pay attention to me.
yeah. Do you wanna hold her?
Sure. Or you
I
can
think
do
you
that.
guys have 30 minutes booked with her, so it's only been 9 minutes. We usually switch over about halfway unless you guys want one person to have more.
She's like, you better do me good though. She's like, I know you got something there. So how sharp are her claws?
They're not too sharp, just because she climbs a lot and she uses them a lot, and they naturally will kind of dull down over time. But when they're babies, they're actually pretty sharp still, just because they're not climbing as much, especially before they're weaned. The only thing that they ever cling on to is their mom, and obviously she doesn't have like, bark and things like that on her that have to wear nails, so.
Pretty girl. Yeah, want some more? Is she close to being full, or am I taking all her?
No, she would continue to eat. She eats a lot. So once she finishes up those last few bites, after she's done with it and done chewing, if you take both your hands and put them underneath her booty and kind of scooch her up more, she'll start to kind of nestle in around your shoulders.
Oh my goodness, look what she's doing.
She's like, hey, I know
Hey,
it's over
I'll
there.
do 2 of them this time. You're not paying attention to me.
Those claws actually continue to grow all throughout their lives. They just are naturally worn down when they climb. Kind of dull.
So when she stops chewing, if I move my arm up under her, she'll.
Yeah, after
It
she's
does.
finished
Yeah.
and she's, not actively searching for food, then you can kind of switch her around. She may snuggle in. Sometimes it takes her just a minute to realize, okay, we've not got any more snacks for you, and then she'll snuggle in, so. And they do have really poor eyesight, so sometimes she thinks that we're like holding out on her, we've still got more, and she's like, excuse me, where is the rest of my bite bites?
Like
You kind of have to
any-
show her that you don't have anything else.
Like any pet.
Doggone,
Yeah. Just show your hands with blackjack there.
it's all gone, see, it's all gone.
And those make for some great pictures too, and she's all snuggled in. From the time that we first got Zoe, she showed us pretty early on, that was her favorite position to be in, was up
Really?
right next to your neck. And they all just kind of have their own little quirks and differences between all of them, so our 8-month-old baby Dash, he does not want to be up on your chest. He wants to be down low, basically sitting in your lap, where he can rest his head right here and just look up at you the whole time. But she, very much so, when she's snuggled in and she's ready for a nap, she snuggles right in up there next to your chest.
It's like a baby.
Yeah.
Making little noises.
So when she opens and closes her mouth, it kind of sounds like a little squeaking or grinding noise. Those are actually all of her teeth kind of sharpening against each other. So she's got 4 really sharp canines, but then her molars in the back are not flat like ours are. They're actually all pointed, so that every time she opens and closes her mouth, they grind up against each other, and that's what helps her to grind up the leaves that she eats. So here she just eats baby
She's going to
spinach,
sleep on it.
but in the wild they eat the leaves of the Cercopia trees, and they grind those up instead of chomping them.
So she likes her head and back?
Yeah, just just real nice slow touches just down her back.
Mhm.
A lot of people are tempted to do like the little cat scritches with their fingers because they think that's what most animals like, but she doesn't really like that. Yeah, just with an open hand.
No, you're good.
No, you're
No, you guys do whatever you want. We'll move stuff. You're fine.
I'll take some pictures.
She's like, where are we going?
She's like, did you get more food?
Yeah, did you get me more treats? Or back
I don't
breakfast?
think there's any,
No.
I don't think I'll try
Oh,
that.
she's gonna start trying to climb around. Sometimes she gets exploratory like a little toddler.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
So,
no good.
yeah, she's looking for more food. Let me see if I can get somewhere out. Just don't let her get a hold of a finger while she's looking for food.
You know,
Baby. Hi, baby.
You're a little diva. She has me trained. She knows that when she starts getting mouthy like that I break out more food.
Aw.
Rotten.
Don't let her get your finger.
No, Zoe. You're a rotten girl. You gonna be picky now? This is just not sweet
That's not
potato.
what I want.
She likes her sweet potatoes. Over here.
She does like that better.
Mhm.
Cute, cute.
It has been about half of our time. Did you guys want to switch now, or did you want to hold for a little bit
I'll
longer?
let you hold it a little bit longer, since you love sloths so much.
Yeah, but you need to turn it. I want to get her.
Okay.
Well, I'll get her and then I'll transfer her over onto you. Let me finish that bite first. You done chewing?
Recorder.
Then, with her being more exploratory right now, I'm actually gonna move that blue chair over here and we'll swap. Put the
Okay.
brown chair over, 'cause she wakes up and she wants to start climbing over there onto that ledge. She gets pretty adamant about it, so. So she'll wrap her legs around first and then you support underneath her booty.
Okay. Hi, honey.
No bites out of the arms. No bites out of the arms.
Am I holding it right?
Mm-hmm. Just the only thing you have to be looking out for is where your hands are if you're close to her sides or if you're more on her back. Her sides she doesn't really like too much.
You don't want them?
Hi.
Full.
You want a kiss? You want a kiss?
And if you put both your hands underneath her and scoot her up, she may snuggle in up around your shoulders.
We're not.
Yeah, I think she's gonna curl up in a little ball right now. Those are her two positions, either curled up into a ball, up in somebody's arm, or up around their neck. She's feeling ball right now. Let me take a picture of both you guys together.
can hear her.
You can hear the squeaking noise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Almost like she's cooing, but yeah.
Mhm.
it doesn't look like a
Mhm.
It's condola right there, isn't she?
Yeah, that's her sleeping position. So their spines actually have the ability to curl all the way up into a ball. So both sloths and the armadillos, as well as anteaters, are part of a superorder called Zathorans. And all that means is that they have the ability to hinge their spine. So the armadillos, obviously, they can curl all the way up into a little ball, and so can sloths. So actually, Flash, our 6-year-old sloth, he does his encounters in the mornings out on this branch that hangs out here. We had to modify that branch because beforehand it sat a little bit lower than what it is now. And he realized that he could curl himself all the way up in between the very top of that branch and the ceiling. And you can see how curved that spine is right now. And he, curled just all the way up into a tiny little ball like that. And that would be the equivalence of me taking my spine and like folding it in half, which is, that's just what he did. And so they have the capability to do that with no discomfort.
She's pretty thick fur too, it
Mhm.
seems like.
Yep. And they have no musk glands, no scent glands or anything like that. So the sloths that we have here are probably the cleanest animal that we have on the farm. They only use the bathroom once a week, and they wait to come down to the very base of the tree to do so. So occasionally what they do is they'll come down, and they hold on to the base of the tree, they kind of scoot their booty around while they're going to the bathroom. So sometimes they can get just a few little dingleberries that we have to clean off of them, but that's about the only thing that we really have to do for them. They don't get baths or anything, they just wipe those little dingleberries off occasionally, but that's about all the,
I remember a documentary talking about how long it took them to digest
Yeah.
things.
One of them said it was like a month.
It is, yeah.
Dying.
So it takes their digestive tract about 30 days from start to finish to digest everything all the way through. So the first bite of food that she takes today, it'll be in the 30 days before she actually expels
Oh,
that.
so cool.
And they only go to the bathroom about every 7 to 10 days. So,
We saw a video where one of them, it was a male, walking real slow, but then it got in the water because of a movement across the river and how fast it was swimming.
yeah, so swimming is actually the fastest form of transportation for a sloth. I don't know if some of that is due to like scared that it's going to drown or what, but that's the fastest that a sloth can move.
That was the first thing I thought of as soon as he looked up in the water, like he's going to drown.
Yeah.
And then he just took off.
Yeah, really, that was so funny.
That's their fastest, and actually crawling on the ground is the absolute slowest form of transportation for them. So even slower than they are in the trees. It is painfully slow to watch, just slowly one arm in front of the other. She curls up into a ball like that, that's what she does. Takes her a good little nap. She takes a little power naps all throughout the day.
So Knoxville Zoo had this one sloth, and I think they said that he would sleep like 22 hours a day. Is that pretty normal?
It can range. Some of the statistics and everything that I was looking at were saying that scientists originally thought that they were sleeping for a lot longer than they actually do, just because a lot of the times they're just hanging there, absolutely not moving at all. But if you look closer, their eyes are actually open or just squinted, and they're aware of what's going on, so they're not actually sleeping. But it definitely could range from sloth to sloth. But from right here, looking at her, she looks like she's out. She looks like she's asleep.
Yeah.
But in reality, she's kind of, half there.
Relax. She's like, I like this human. He's got a pillow for his stomach. So.
Yeah, he's always like that too. She's so precious.
You got you a good job.
Yeah, I think almost everybody tells me that comes in for an encounter.
Then you get to deal with the baby kangaroo.
My primary job is in here as the sloth keeper, but on slower days when I don't have as many encounters, I'll go out and help everybody else with that, whatever they're doing. But I'm wanting to go to vet school, and so I'm also in charge of all of the vet records and health records of all of the animals.
Is there something in there?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
stirring her around. That's actually
Just have
Dash.
to tell me.
So that's our baby sloth that's in there. And he is probably about to make an appearance. So he's not part of the encounter, but I always tell people, especially with Flash, his enclosure goes up 20 feet. And so he has his encounters first thing in the morning, and then afterwards goes up. But we don't book anything later in the day because it's not a guarantee that he's gonna come down. But occasionally he'll come down and start pecking at the corner of the door like, hey, let me out, I want some food. And then he'll crawl out here onto that branch.
Oh, wow, I didn't even notice that.
And it's the same way with Dash. He was down here earlier for another encounter, but he stayed down here, and so now he's just kind of deciding whether or not he wants to wake up.
I didn't notice it, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, that's the baby.
Yeah.
So you did take that one?
She says, let me take your offering.
I'll take some.
So you got the feeder. Getting
She's usually pretty good with her appetite, but Flash, he could be eating ravishly for 1 minute and then not want anything else the next minute. And he might not have even ate that much, just like over and over and over. But then how we said that it takes their system so long to digest everything, they kind of have like a little internal off switch that they can just flip whenever they need to. Because when their system tells them, hey, I'm getting full,
Too much, yeah.
then they're gonna stop eating and they won't start eating again until it starts back up. And I always tell that when I'm talking about Flash, because usually with Zoe, she would eat anytime she's ever offered anything, which is why she's so plump. But she's got a little Buddha belly on her, especially when I go to set her back down in her hammock and it's up, it's like, oh.
How far can they see? I know their eyesight's not good.
I'm not sure about distance-wise, but they do have a condition that's called broad monochromacy. That means that they only have broad cells in their eyes and no cone cells. So we have cone cells in the back of our eyes that allow us to see color, but since they lack those cells, they are colorblind. The rod cells that they have allows them to see motion, so they can see things moving quite well, and it's actually a little bit enhanced for them. Especially in dim areas, those rod cells really work best in dim. And then the cone cells that we used to see, like the color of your shirt, you can see it because we've got light in here. But whereas if it was really, really dim, it'd be kind of difficult to make out what color that was. But it's opposite for the rod cells. And the sloths actually have something that's called bright blindness, where if it's in a really bright area, like an LED light right above us, the vision is actually even worse for them. So they can't really see, they can't distinguish what's what. Not only is it just in black and white, but it's also just kind of blobs and shapes that they see. They can't really distinguish what's what. Are you gonna explore the chair?
I felt it breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes she lets out really loud sighs, like she doesn't sit there all day and get hand-fed her food. It's the hardest life ever.
Yeah.
Nobody sighs harder than a sloth that has already slept 12 hours, wakes up to eat and get snuggles, and then goes back to sleep some more.
I'm trying to go to sleep. I'm protecting myself from the light.
And that sometimes we'll take them outside for them to get some fresh air, because they do enjoy it. They get a lot more active when they're outside. We're carrying them around, they're looking around and everything, trying to grab onto everything that we walk by. But if it's really bright outside, as soon as we go out there, they're like, oh, and they try to hide their face right in our armpits.
She's like, I just want to go to sleep. Does she have any more encounters today?
Well, that's what I was just, somebody just said something about a 2:30 sloth, but I guess somebody's booked a 2:30. Didn't know we had any more.
Sorry, we're not going to go to sleep yet.
But we're really guarded at the time that people get to spend with our sloths, so, and even ourselves. So if Zoe was fully booked for the day, she would have no more than 2 hours total, for booking. So in the mornings, you would have two back-to-back 30-minute encounters, and then she would have a break until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then if she was fully booked in the afternoon, she would have one from 2 to 2:30, and then 2:30 to 3, and then she's done for the rest of the day. So obviously, I mean, this is something that she enjoys doing. She enjoys being out here and spending time with us and everything, but too much of any good thing can be bad. So we try to limit that so that every time we do go in there, she's like, oh yes, more people, and not, oh my gosh, there's more people I have to hold.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you always have to do your research and be guarded of places that will advertise for like a drop-in sloth encounter or no appointment necessary sloth encounters, because they may have more sloths than we do, but you really have to think about the care of those animals, because do they have time to just do whatever they want to do, or are they constantly feel like people have to be in their faces and being, interacted with all the time? They need time for themselves to be able to just do whatever they want, whether that's sleeping or climbing through the trees or whatever.
Absolutely.
But our time is up, unfortunately, so I'll take her and guess we'll figure out if she's got another one or not.
Girl.
My baby. She knows you.
Yes, I got that.
Girl.
She's back in here in the hammock.
Do you have a pony for the farm tour? Yep, ready to go.
Oh, there he is. He's up there in his tree. Baku,
Get back here.
Oh.
This is our little three-banded armadillo that likes to make grand escapes all the time. And he can curl all the way up into a tiny little ball like this. That's his head and that's his tail.
I used to see him on the side of the road in Texas.
Yeah. And so this is actually a three-banded armadillo, so he's got the 3 bands and then skin in between that allows him to move. The ones that you see more so in Texas and are more common around here now are actually 9-banded armadillos. So they can have anywhere from 7 to 11 bands, and they get to be a lot bigger.
Wow.
He does, yep. So the skin, there's got skin in between all these little bony plates, and that's what the hair is growing out
Well,
of.
he was waiting just to
Oh, yeah.
open up.
He's like, I wanna get out that door.
Yeah, he is an escape artist. We'll go out here and sanitize our hands one more time.